These days, it's cool to call yourself an entrepreneur, but the real entrepreneurs strive for continuous improvement, innovation, and willing to take risks of detrimental proportions. Join me as we meet the people that are making this happen. One by one, they are sharing the story of their journey as an American entrepreneur. In this episode of An American Entrepreneur, we're going to tag along with a pinstripe artist as he goes to Waxahachie, Texas to do a custom pinstripe job on a classic C10 truck. So come on and join me. I think you'll really enjoy it. So what are we going to do here? Just a little striping around the letters and some...
Yeah, so we did the front. It's been probably 6 months ago, and he's doing this truck as he can afford to do the paint and everything. And so the tailgate, I think, is the last painted part. So we're going to just try to match what we did on the front with a little design and then outline these letters for him.
This business, is this a business you started, or you and your brother, or tell us a little bit about the business?
Sure. So my brother, when I worked for him, we were in San Antonio. That's where I went to school. And he had his business going for a few years by the time I graduated, and worked for him for a little while there, and then moved up to Austin, started a business there. And we've always had the same business name. At some point there, we kind of separated the businesses. We're independent of one another. However, you know, we have a great relationship. We work together on a lot of things, but we just keep our businesses independent. My brother sold the San Antonio company to a family friend, and that's still going today.
What's the name of the business?
Carriage Pinstriping.
Did you come up with the name, or was it your brother?
No, that was my brother. He kind of an interesting story. He was actually working for a guy named Bucky Aarons back then when he started out in San Antonio, and it was Coachman Pinstriping out of Houston. Bucky ended up dying in a plane crash, and my brother kind of had the option to go back to Houston, work with Coachman there, and try to continue on there, or stay in San Antonio and change the name and run the business himself. And that's what he decided to do. He had been working there, building a business for several years, and decided to stick it out there.
So you do it all freehand?
Yeah, when it comes to these kind of designs, it's all freehand. When I do straight lines down the side of a car, I'm using a magnet that helps just kind of give me something to run my finger along to get a good long straight line. But these kind of things are just sort of freehand, and you're really just making it up as you go.
Do you ever use transfer paper?
I would not. I have not. Yeah. Why would I do that?
I don't know. I guess it feels an intricate design.
Well, that's cheating.
So you're not a cheater.
I don't even know what I would do with transfer paper. This is a brand new brush. I've only used it for a couple of days. Every brush is a little different.
Do you have different brushes, different sizes?
When it comes to lines, long lines, and this kind of thing, I use the same brush. It's just a long-haired, natural pinstriping brush. For lettering and some of the other scroll type work, I use different brushes.
I guess it depends on the thickness you're going for.
Well, so this brush, when I'm doing lines, long lines, this brush will do thicker lines. It'll do thinner lines. It's just a matter of how you hold it, how much pressure you put. I forget what I did before. I have to look. I have to look at a picture.
And that's the hood, right?
Yeah, that's what I did on the hood.
How long have you been doing this, Paul?
Oh goodness, it's been 25 years, maybe 24. Kind of started this after graduating from college back in late 90s.
What did you study?
Psychology.
Okay.
And a minor in business. So business was always something I was interested in. And to be very honest, I started out with a major in business, but I didn't like the accounting part of it. And I switched over to psychology because I was interested in psychology. And there was a lot less math.
Yeah, those accounting classes are a beating. Well, how did you get into this to begin with?
Well, I followed in the footsteps of my older brother. He's 7 years older, and he kind of started as a teenager in the car business, was doing working for a dealership doing undercoating, and eventually got into window tinting. I learned how to do that as a teenager, and I kind of watched what he was doing and thought I might like to do that. I always wanted to be in business for myself, but didn't know what that was going to be. And when I saw what he was doing, I was in college, thought I might want to try it. So I went to work with him after I graduated college, and I've been doing this ever since.
What other services do you do besides pinstriping, or do you just pinstriping only?
Pinstriping is, it originally was the only thing, and my business niche has always been with dealerships and servicing them. So along the way, I have found a few other things that I can do for car dealerships to offer a little more to them. And we do some protective things, body side moldings and door edge guards and paint protection film, things like that.
You do lettering as well?
I do, yeah. Wouldn't call myself a sign painter. Those guys are really, really good at that stuff. I do mostly smaller scale on cars. People like to put their initials on the door handles, things like that. So I do it when I'm asked and am adequate enough at it.
Is this business pretty seasonal, or is it just year-round? I guess it's just year-round when people call you, right? Everybody's always doing a project, aren't they?
It is year-round. In fact, December is a lot of times my busiest month, mainly because Lexus is a big customer of mine, and they've always had their December to Remember event, and they sell a lot of cars during the month of December.
When you do work at a dealership, I guess it's very generic type stuff, nothing highly personalized.
Right, most of it is very simple, straight line stuff. We do, when a customer asks for their initials, or in fact I did one of those earlier on a Lexus, we'll do whatever they want. Sometimes they do want a little design here and there. Sometimes a college logo or something, we'll hand paint that. I'm gonna have to grab something real quick.
Do you have a large photo book or something, or idea book that you show people to help them decide what they're looking for?
Never. No, I found that the more options you give people, the more confused they get.
Right, yeah.
So we'll just talk about what they think, and I will give them some ideas and go from there. And I find that works best.
Too many choices, you won't get anywhere, huh?
Yeah, I just I like to just kind of talk to someone, see what they're thinking, and we can usually work it out.
How do you decide how you're going to charge people? I guess the intricacy.
I basically, on a regular pinstripe, I'll charge typically $150 on just a simple stripe. And when it comes to custom work, I just kind of figure how long it's going to take me, and then I go from there.
Do you do gold leaf, silver leafing?
I do not. I don't. That's something I've been asked about a few times, but honestly, I don't know that there's a big market for that anymore.
Well, just one of those, you can't be everything to everybody, that's for sure.
Right. You just
Special. You're really niched, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, how do you do your marketing and advertising?
I'm going to change this up. I really don't. I didn't even have a website for years, and I just decided to do that just to have it. I didn't really feel like I needed it. My marketing or my sales approach has always been just cold calling car dealerships, networking with sales managers, and that's really how we've grown the business. As far as things like this, I am online and people find me, but I don't really do any advertising other than just having an online presence.
This is something that's been around for many years, and I guess it just doesn't seem like it's ever going to go away. It never really, or does it? Has it ever been kind of a trend to go into? Did it slow down, or has it always been pretty much steady?
I think it definitely has its ups and downs. You know, the '60s were a big time for custom cars and pinstriping and custom painting. You know, the guys in California, Von Dutch and Big Daddy Roth, those guys were big names, and I think a lot of people around the country were kind of trying to do the things that they were doing in California.
Especially Vegas.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's been up and down. I think right now it seems to me to be in sort of a lull, and that's mainly what I consider the new car business that we do. I think people who want to customize their cars will always be there. I'm going to redo that.
What was wrong with that? You just didn't like the curve, or?
Well, when I cleaned it off before, there's a little bit of my chemicals still on the surface. It was wet.
Or you got interested in this, I guess, because you're following in the footsteps of your brother.
Yeah, it just seemed like a business that I wanted to be in. I'd always been interested in art, and I like that aspect of it, but I wanted to... A lot of guys who do this consider themselves artists and not necessarily businessmen. And so I wanted to approach it differently and be more of a business-minded person doing art for a living.
How long did it take you to really build proficiency at this?
That's hard to say. I think...
You practice a lot on boards or scrap metal, I guess?
In the early days, yeah. Not anymore. It's just sort of... You practice by doing. Fortunately, as you can see, I can remove this when I need to, when I make a mistake, and so it's easy to kind of wing it.
Do you have any employees or other people doing this, or is it just you?
I do. I have 2 employees right now, and have had as many as 4 over the years, but obviously business has suffered since good old Corona.
Yeah.
But we have maintained steady enough business to keep 2 employees going, and been very, very blessed.
Has there been any industry changes in this type of a business that's highly interesting or something that you'd want to share?
Well, again, my niche is with the new car dealerships, and so I've seen that change from family-owned businesses, dealerships around Texas, to more of a corporate atmosphere. When that happens, you have a lot of rules that come in, and the local managers don't necessarily have a lot of control or say about what they do with their cars. Sometimes that inhibits our ability to develop relationships and grow business in that area. But fortunately, it hasn't stopped us or completely eliminated our ability to grow.
So are there any stickers or graphics now that's kind of eaten into this type of a business, or there's really not?
To me, it doesn't really, it's not a competitor. As far as sign painting goes, I think, yeah, it has really changed sign painting, and you just don't find sign painters out there much anymore. It's way more practical and cost effective to do the vinyl stuff. But as far as this goes, I'm able to sell this as an upgrade to a vinyl pinstripe. And you can't do this kind of thing with vinyl. There are always people who will want the real thing, and you just can't get this kind of thing with vinyl.
What's some ideas or recommendations you would have for someone that wanted to get into this industry? How would they get started?
Well, these days there is a lot of information online. I mean, you can learn just about anything online, and this is no different. You definitely have to put the work in, the practice, be dedicated to it, but you can find just about everything you need as far as the types of brushes, the types of paint, some practice material as far as designs to kind of see if you can emulate, just kind of play around.
When you do work at a dealership, they pretty much lay out for you exactly what they're wanting?
No, I've never had that happen. They typically trust me to do what I think the car looks best on the car. We'll usually use colors that are part of the car, interior colors and exterior colors. So most everything gets beige, black, silver, gray. Those are the typical colors we're using on new cars. If you look at most new cars, it's either going to be a black, beige, or gray interior. That's just kind of what they are. And in these days, black or dark gray wheels are very popular from the factory, so we do a lot of black and dark gray combinations with beige and gray, silver.
I guess when you develop a reputation, you get a lot of repeat business, a lot of word of mouth, don't you?
I do. It's very nice to hear from people after you've done their car. You hear from them a couple years later, and they've got something different, something new, and so yeah, it's and without advertising, you have a lot of people call you that you've worked with before, and they're friends and family.
You're on social media?
I'm not. Even personally, I don't really do that.
May I ask why? I mean, it could only help, right?
Yeah, but
if you got all the business you want, I guess you don't need to, right?
yeah, it's just more time that, and I've never liked the idea of social media in general, and it just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, that's pretty common nowadays. I hear that a lot, but people a lot of times will do it anyway just for the business.
Yeah, I understand that.
They'll show their befores and afters and projects they've done, or projects that they know it'll drum up a lot of additional business. But if you've got all the business you want, then what's the point, right? Well, getting into this business, I guess all you need technically are just brushes, paint, and transportation, really.
Yeah, there's not a lot of overhead in it. It really is just a matter of your ability. You don't necessarily need a shop. I mean, it's always a good thing to have if you're doing a lot of retail work. But I've never had a shop. I've never needed one. Brushes, paints, chemicals. You can get everything you need for less than $1,000.
What percentage of your work is dealerships, and what percentage is custom stuff?
Oh, it's 95% dealerships.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the bread and butter. Because what we do is we work with dealerships who want to do 100% of their cars. So we'll work with dealerships and do a pinstripe on every single car they have every month. So that's a consistent business. And then the custom things like this, we just take as they come, and I work them in when I can.
How many dealerships do you work with?
Currently, I think we're doing about 15. And those are dealerships where we do 100% of their cars. There are probably more than that we just do, a few cars here and there as they call us. What
weird nuances could you share with us that if someone wanted to get into this, it's something they never would have thought of, that would catch them by surprise?
That's a good question. Everything's different. You have to be able to take it as it comes, because every customer you talk to is going to be different, wants something slightly different. Their interests are different. They're all people interested in cars, but their particular type of vehicle they like, or the designs they like are going to be different. So you really have to be able to talk to people. My psychology degree, I think, has come in handy quite a bit. Just being able to talk to people, talk to my employees, dealing with that. If you're going to be in this business or any business, small business, you really have to learn how to manage employees, and that just is a relationship thing.
When you had employees, I guess they were already highly experienced?
No, not at all. I've trained my employees to do whatever it is that I need them to do. I don't have employees who do this kind of work. They're doing very basic work.
The moldings.
Yeah. So I have never hired anyone with experience.
Would you like to do more of this kind of work if you could, or are you really happy just pretty much doing the dealerships and what you're doing now?
Well, I'm doing a lot more of it now than I was several years ago, and that's probably because of the changes, COVID and whatnot. I kind of let my employees do most of the dealership work, and I do more of this kind of thing. And
what advice would you give to someone that wanted to start a business, any business, just in general?
I would say do a little research and know who your customer is going to be, who you want to target. Have a business plan, and I mean, not just all the numbers, but have a business model in mind that you're gonna use as an approach. A lot of people will kind of start willy-nilly with a small business and just spin their wheels a lot. I think if you kind of target and sort of have a plan, you'll save a lot of time and frustration. And yeah, in the beginning, you might do a lot of things that aren't necessarily part of your plan, but you can sort of focus in and hone in on what your ultimate goal is over time if you have that sort of premeditated.
Great advice. What else are you going to do to this truck today?
So we're going to outline these letters in a little red, and should make it pop really nice. Are you good with this? You want to? Yeah. So I just basically same type of thing I did on the hood.
That's good. Looks good.
All right.
Well, happy customer.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a unique thing that way, where a customer can look at it and say, yeah, could you do a little more here or there? Do this a little different or that a little different, and I'm able to do that.
Paul, thanks for coming on this channel and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. I think the biggest takeaway Paul shared with us is the fact that whatever it is that you are passionate about, something that you really would love to do, put together a plan, achievable small increments, that at the end you've got your business up and running just the way you want it. I hope this video added value and you enjoyed it. I'm Curtis Mohlberg. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.